Hello and welcome to Meet Our Ex's Success Stories podcast. I'm coach and host Amanda Leah, and today I'm here with the woman formerly known as Miss Fit Vegan. Now she's facing massive criticism from her vegan followers because she's been open about her more recent nutrition choices. But most importantly, she's now succeeding in repairing her declining health with an animal-based diet. We're so excited to hear your story, so thanks for joining us, Daria Deptula.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. So let's get started. Please tell us all about your health and your diet before your current way of eating.
Yeah, so it's funny. I guess before going mostly animal-based, I was vegan for 3 years. But before that, I always kind of like to bring up before the 3 years of going vegan, because I like to compare. And before going vegan, I really didn't pay so much attention to macros and stuff. I ate meat, I ate fish, I ate healthy, but I just kind of wasn't paying attention necessarily to to the diet in an aspect of really controlling what I was eating or how much. But then I feel like every vegan, any vegan I've spoken to, I watched a documentary. I watched Forks Over Knives, and because I had and have cancer in my family, it was like a light bulb went off, and the documentary was done so well that I literally watched it like a few times just to make sure that I wasn't watching something incorrect. And I was just like, yeah, this is the way to eat. I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna do this so that my family, it's my dad. And so I was like, my dad, maybe he'll follow suit and eat the best diet possible for health. And so yeah, I started the vegan diet in probably 2015, I believe. It's 2020 now. Yeah. I haven't been vegan for over a year and a half now, but I started the vegan diet, which I basically set myself a date. I didn't really do much research. I just said, I'm no longer eating any meat. I'm no longer eating any animal products. And the date came. I remember having like my last meal. I literally had, which is so funny. It makes no sense if I'm going to go vegan for ethical reasons. Why did I have that? But I did, which was a huge burger, pizza, ice cream. I mean, I literally did it all. And then I just cut everything out. And it's funny because at that time, I was an online fitness coach. So as I went vegan, I transitioned into being a vegan coach. And I remember speaking about this. Even when I was vegan, there's literally recordings of me about this. So it's so funny that I can actually use this in a way which makes more sense now, which didn't before. The first 3 months, I didn't feel good. I didn't know what I was doing. I was eating just the things that said vegan, either on a label, at the grocery store. I would go out to eat and get like a veggie burger because I didn't really know what else to do. I didn't know how to talk to the actual waiters and have them replace things for me. Oh my God, it was just so much to learn at once. Like if you have to be, does the sauce have any dairy in it? Are you cooking your fries in the same fat that you are actually cooking chicken in? And it's like, I really wanted to do it right. So for me, the first 3 months were very difficult. I actually put on weight. As a fitness coach, it was very difficult for me to actually to still continue to speak about veganism, as veganism was great because I was struggling. But then I myself actually hired a vegan coach, a vegan fitness coach, and he helped me with all the supplementation. So I started to supplement with everything under the sun, B12. I started to supplement with like 2 protein shakes a day. Yeah. I took, I believe like algae DHEA. I mean, I was doing everything. And after some time, because I was working with him, we decided to do a bikini competition. So I did start to lose the weight. I did this was probably about 6 months into, 6 to 8 months into being vegan. I did start to feel better. I did, obviously, you know, I will say this, it was more of a mental and like, as women, especially women will understand, when your body starts to change and you start to look fitter and you start to look better, mentally you're like, this is what healthy looks like. This is what it's supposed to be like. Even though I will tell you, I was eating like 3 packs of Beyond Meat a day to meet my protein requirements. I was eating, because I was also training a lot for the competition. Either that or tofu or tempeh. And then I was also doing 2 protein shakes a day, which were vegan, of course. So you know, I think at that time, because I was prepping for competition, I didn't really think much of it. And even after some time, like my taste buds were like, oh, I just cannot have this again. I was so ready to, you know, I was doing it. And I will say this as well, because the vegan community like loves to say that, you know, I will talk about my health concerns after that. You know, what ended up happening to me is because I actually did the competition, because as competitors, and especially women, you know, women go through hormonal changes. However, that happened before, I mean, literally like the 3 months into being a vegan, and then it just lasted. I mean, my competition was a 12-week period. Competition prep was 12-week period within 3 years. So there's just, I mean, I will always say, just, you know, you'd love to pin it on one thing, and you don't know how I did it. I did it very, in a way, my calories were very high all the way to the end. So it's not like, you know, I was basically I was putting my body through extreme stress. So yes, I was eating, the way my diet looked was, I mean, I ate tofu in every way possible. I loved to pretend that it was better than chicken, it was better than meat. My friends tell me to this day, they're like, do you remember when you used to say that tofu was so delicious? But I would literally go to the store and get the glazed tofu, the ones that comes in packs, because I couldn't stand the soya tofu that came with the water. And after some, oh my gosh, I just remembered sometimes I had to get my protein intake in, and I would just take that block of tofu, and I didn't have time to prep it. I would cut up and try to eat it and like pretend like it was good, and just, I'm sorry, but there's some place that can make tofu really, really, really good, but it's not, unless it's like soaked and marinated. It's highly not palatable. I ate a ton of mock meats. Beyond Meat was literally almost on my daily menu. I did eat, so my healthy foods, like my whole foods, came from my carbs. So I did carb cycling at that time, and I was doing that probably for a really long time. So all the whole foods came from my carbs. I was eating normal amount of fat. My fats came from, you know, my avocados, from oils, from the tofu, from the tempeh. But yeah, I was also at one point, you know, I believe that if it said vegan on a package, that it was maybe not the best, but it was better for you. So I was all, you know, my diet was, I was literally very focused on getting my protein high, because I wasn't an athlete. I mean, I wanted to put on muscle. And it's funny because within those 3 years, I didn't put on much, but the second, I'll also talk about that, second I went back to eat, it was like, bam, you know? And what else my diet consist of? Yeah, it was a lot of shakes. I mean, it was a lot of shakes. I mean, it's funny because it was mostly the protein that I had to really somehow find and find an adequate amount of. So it came from the sources that when I look back in the day, I'm like, how is this possibly an ultimate and optimum diet for humanity when I am, as an athlete, trying to fill voids? And you know, and they talk about pairings of protein and getting your beans with your bread, or having, you know, like just quinoa, which has like no protein at all. Like I remember telling people, myself as a vegan, that quinoa was a great source of protein because it was a, you know, had all the essential amino acids. I'm like, quinoa has like, I don't even remember. It was like 7 grams of protein per cup. I'm like, what is that even? So yeah, that's pretty much what I ate.
Wow. And I can imagine all of that faux meat or, that had an impact. So what was your health like at that point?
Yeah. So I always, as a teenager, this is the main concern that I had. As a teenager, I always had, very painful menstrual cycles from when I was a child. And so all the way to going vegan, that's something I struggle with. So I went vegan, and this is so funny again, I cut all that stuff out. And then within a few months, it's like I stopped menstruating. And I would say it wasn't always just nothing. I would spot sometimes, but the cramps were completely gone. Like, and I was like, what? Like, I thought it was great. I mean, I literally would suffer through cramps. So I was like, this is cool. I would research blogs. And again, I know whoever has been a former vegan can attest to this. When you start to research vegan things, your brain is very closed-minded. You're not going to look at something that's going to tell you something that this might be the thing that's actually causing me to have this. So there are blogs that said, because you're cutting out animal torture, you're cutting out all the hormones out from the animals, you're cutting out, the stress that comes with the meat that you're eating, your body is very at peace. And women tend to have much lesser periods they last much less. They last a short amount of time. They're not painful, or so I was like, oh, this is great. If I spotted 1 month, I'm like, okay, that's my period, I'm good. And so that just led on and on and on. And I never talked about it, and I never really, I just thought it was fine. And then it's funny because now that I look back and I connect all the dots, there were points, and my friends can attest to this as well. There were points where, as a vegan, I was always a very happy girl, like very energetic. Not as a vegan, before we were vegan, just always. I never had any like mental struggles. I mean, as a teenager, I'm sure we all go through stuff. As women, we all go through stuff. But as I got deeper into veganism, I found myself having these mood swings and these like depression moments where it would lead me to binging. I would have binge episodes, and I would speak of it again. I spoke about this when I was a vegan. I never even thought about that it could be something happening because of my diet and it's causing me to be this way. I would just try to figure it out. Maybe it's something to do with my competition, that I was restrictive, and now I can't, I would just have these cravings, and it was very emotional. It was I even remember going to Costa Rica one time with my friend, and I left her for such a long time because I couldn't understand why I was in this beautiful city, this beautiful country place, and I was just looking for some void to fill and eat stuff because something was just not right within me. And yeah, the periods just were what they were. Yeah, I don't remember what the first question was anymore.
Oh no, it's awesome. No, honestly, that you're speaking to something very huge in women's health, but you were sharing with us the different health conditions you were dealing with. So losing your period.
Yeah. Yes. And that, by the end, it was, I was happy that I didn't have it, which was nuts. And I think in a lot of women that I actually asked that were vegan, they would tell me it's a very similar story. And they were like, oh, it's a good thing. They're shorter. And then, I would try to, if I saw a spot or two, or even if I did get my period 1 month and it came for a day or two, to me, that was normal. I was like, okay, then we're good to go. But it was just my body just couldn't find that balance. And even though I had cramps and cramping and stuff in the past, at least it was I felt like my body was actually going through a menstrual cycle. And I felt like even though I had to suffer through it, that's something that I had to deal with. And Yeah,
So in terms of your, you were mentioning your energy or your mood, had that changed at all at that point? Or did you notice other changes in your health?
After going back to meat, or
Before that? Actually, I'm very excited to hear about how you came to eating meat, but yeah, if there's anything else about your health before you came to it.
No, you know what, it's really weird because the time before going vegan, I just when I think, my memories to the time are just so normal. I don't have these moments that are so monumental when it comes to my nutrition and my mental health or anything like that. I mean, you know, I was younger. I remember, you know, I like to party. I lived in Miami, so we went out a bunch of times. Like, there's just anything that ever had to do was probably like a hangover or something, you know? So I never had moments where, especially when I got into fitness, I was into fitness. Like, it actually changed a lot of my ways and changed a lot of my partying, and I was feeling good. So like when I actually started going vegan, and I got into it as well after my competition, when I got back into like more balanced diet and eating more of the things that, you know, you just eat without really prepping for a show. I was still eating a high amount of protein, because to me, that's what I wanted to maintain that, and I wanted to continue to build muscle. But I mean, I will tell you, there are times where I'd be so in my head. I couldn't understand that there's things, sometimes I'd be so in my head, and I'd be like getting lost in this mental space, or like get these emotions that would come here and there. And it was very, very difficult for me to understand why I was feeling like this. When I actually started to listen and hear more stories of people that were vegan as well, and then went back to me and had the similar, I couldn't, it was almost like something lifted off my chest, because I thought something was wrong with me. I really thought that I was struggling. I wanted to go to a therapist. I was like, did something happen in my childhood that I need to, like, is there a trauma that I have to go through? Like, what's happening? So when I heard that there's things that could happen when it comes to your mental health without really needing a traumatic event, it's just something that is happening on a scientific level, like just on the chemistry, like, of your body. It was like, wow. It really helped me to understand, I guess, you know, the impact that the diet actually had on me. And especially now being out of, you know, I mean, I've been pretty much keto carnivore for about a year of that. And then, and it's like, you know, I have my moments, but it's like the most consistent and stable I've been probably since, you know, before going vegan.
That's amazing. That's actually a good segue. I mean, first of all, it is crazy. Like, we have no idea how impactful the food can be. And we will look at every other thing in our life before we look at the food we're eating, thinking that that's impacting our mood or anything, never mind physical symptoms. But a great transition, because we would love to hear how you came to your current way of eating, and how you implement it now.
Yes. So, and this is a crazy story. And I recently had a vegan follower that struggled on for a long time and forgot, it wasn't watching the algorithm of Instagram changed, and she just realized that I was no longer vegan, and she attacked me for this. But I had about a year and a half in, maybe a little bit more. I see the time was, I always say, it's like, it was about a year, because after that I was probably staying vegan for about a year. But I went to Poland to visit my family. My cousin was one of the other people in my family who had cancer. She had breast cancer. So we always talked about plant-based diet. She actually did go plant-based for a little while when she was going through chemotherapy. So I thought she was going to stay vegan. You know, for me, it was amazing. I'm like, yes, you're just what you're supposed to do. And then she started going back to me. She said she had her chemotherapy. She was coming out of remission. She was feeling much better, and she started to incorporate more of animal products back into her diet, because she actually couldn't put on any weight or actually gain weight in the plant-based diet. So her doctor said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you are going to have to start adding more animal foods into your diet, because you can't just eat potatoes all day. Like, you know, like the hearty foods that that you find on a vegan diet or beans, like you will have to add more actual animal protein. So she did, and she talked to me about it. She's like, are you ever thinking of going back to vegan? And I was like, no. And then she's like, okay, so how do you feel? And she's a child psychologist, so she knows how to kind of like pull things out of you. And that's somehow we got onto the subject of my periods, because she knew what I used to go through as a kid and as a teenager. So we got on that topic, and we started talking about it, and I let her know that I don't really have periods like that anymore. She was like, and I distinctly, this was like a memorable moment. She was like, you know, that is not good, right? And I was like, why is that not good? Like, I'm not, I'm not in pain and in bed for, 2 days straight. She's like, no, that has nothing to do with the cramping or anything. This has something to do with your hormones. And so the thing which I want to tell the vegan community, for anyone listening to this, I never went to a gynecologist or had my hormones checked. I just kind of listened to her. And I say this again because this vegan attacked me. So this is what ended up happening. She was like, eat breakfast with me, have some eggs, have a little bit of, I'm going to make you a really big scrambled egg and see what happens. Like it wasn't even this, we didn't do this to bring my period on. It had nothing to do. She just said, hey, try an animal product, have some eggs. Go easy. We don't have to do, I'm not going to throw a steak at you. Have some eggs, see how you feel. That's all she said. And I say this at every single podcast. I said, I don't know whether it was mind-body connection. I don't know whether I was like, okay, maybe deep down, I'm like, maybe I have some eggs, and I'm going to get my period. I don't know. But a few days later, I actually had my cycle. And again, this vegan attacked me. She's like, I'm a physician. Eggs have nothing to do with your period. And I was like, I have never said that there was an actual causation, that the eggs caused my period to come. What I'm saying is at that time, that's what happened. Now, will you attest anything to it? I don't know whether my body just responded well to it, or just maybe the cholesterol that I was missing.
Yes, the hormones. That's exactly it.
That's a dose. It was a dose. I mean, she almost wanted to make me a pure egg, egg yolk scramble. She didn't care for the whites. So it was a dose. Like I would say, like it was a dose. But I had to say that because she's like, I'm a physician and this, and I was like, listen, we can have a conversation, but if you're going to attack me, and she just kept attacking me.
And how is someone supposed to manage their hormones if they don't have enough cholesterol? And where are you getting your cholesterol from
yeah, and then
physician, I don't know.
For your hormones is eat meat. And I was like, well, actually, if we want to go that route, let's talk about what happened after that. But yeah, actually after that, I went back to being plant-based because, like I said, I was misfit vegan. At that point, I had a large following. I was literally speaking about about veganism all over. I didn't want to hear anything else. So I went back to being plant-based. And again, after some time, things started just to be regular like they were before. So actually the moment I decided to just go back was after Costa Rica. The last maybe 2 days I was there, we were there for 10 days. The last 2 days, my friend was like, have some fish. She's like, we're in Costa Rica. She's like, no one in the US is gonna know that you eat fish. Literally. And at that point, I'm like, if I'm gonna have something, I'm gonna have it here. And it was so good. And I couldn't get enough. And in the morning we had a breakfast burrito. Then we had and I was just like, I can't pretend that this isn't doing my body good. So I came home, and this is funny because I didn't even know what carnivore was. My body for 2 weeks straight, and I spoke about this again before I even knew what carnivore was. I was straight carnivore. I mean, I went to Whole Foods and got steak, eggs. I had rotisserie chicken. I was chewing the bones to the bone. My roommate was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Like my body needed it. 2 weeks straight. And then I kind of went back to like carb cycling, like what I've been doing, but introducing meat and eggs and everything. At that point, everything got introduced back. And I dabbled a little bit with keto on a vegan diet because as a coach, a lot of the clients asked me about keto. So before, speaking horribly about it, because at first I was that anti-keto, like how can you even be keto? And the bacon, eggs, and cheese, that's all I thought when I thought keto. But I tried vegan and I felt like the way that I actually felt on the keto diet, and when I actually checked that I was in ketosis, I was like, holy crap, there's something to this. And I only tried it for a little bit and kind of went back. And then something was like, I should try, like I said, I started to, so I'm so big into knowledge and learning. And when I started to eat meat again, I started to dive more into the, like one window open, the next. And I just wanted to learn about meat. I just wanted to learn about animal products and what they actually do for us, because I went from literally demonizing meat and never wanting to touch it and talking so much junk and dirt and reading all the scientific data and watching all the documentaries to now like, wait, because I will tell you again, I mean, I don't stress this enough, which I should right away. Literally the second I started, my periods came back, my menstrual cycle was back to normal. When I actually went keto, this is what's crazy, that I guess the low inflammation of the diet itself, like I have cramps sometimes, but they're so manageable that I don't. Yeah, I was like, it maybe back in the day, maybe I was eating way too much sugar as a kid, eating way too many, carbohydrates and things that were causing me to really have these really painful periods, but it was not the meat. Like, it's crazy to me now that that's what's still being pushed. So yeah, that's how I came upon like Sean Baker, and I started to listen and read, and it's funny because like the whole community, I know that there's a vegan and carnivore, but I felt like the carnivore community or even keto community was much more open-minded. Like I actually felt more, I was like, I just feel like they actually listen, and there's no real judgment like I felt from the vegan community. It was like, if you even had a thought that was outside what they believed, you were shunned. Yes, you were completely, I mean, it was insane. So I started digging into it, and I decided to go keto. First I just went keto. From the jump, mental clarity, like feeling amazing, periods back on track, none of that emotional crap I was going through, which is wild to me, because I was like, I don't know. and then actually started to read, I read the Carnivore Code, and then I know Sean has a book as well. And I really listening and sort of following everybody on Instagram. And I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try it. I did carnivore, like pure carnivore, for about 6 months, 5 months, 6 months. And I loved it. But then, I'm also the type of person that's like, so that the little keto snacks had to kind of creep back in here and there. I actually now I started to do more cyclical keto as well. So I do carb ups like 1 day a week for my performance, because I really, for me, it's like the athletic part of me. I get back into ketosis. I mean, I literally, I check my ketones. I do the blood glucose. I do the blood ketones. I'm back in ketosis literally within 24 hours. So I know how to burn through. I know how to, my body literally has become, what I want is, have that dual metabolism. Today, I know that was going to be the last question you were going to ask. I'm kind of jumping into it, but I am very much animal based. I guess the only time I really eat plants is if I'm out and it's on my plate, I'll eat it. My boyfriend, he's mostly keto. He leaves vegetables in my fridge because he doesn't really believe in pure carnivore. So literally, I found like a cucumber and like some parsley in my fridge, and I was like, are you just leaving? Think I'm like deficient? I'm like, what is a cucumber gonna do? But all right, whatever. And really, yeah, I mean, I have staples. That's another thing too. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but I get so excited about this. I'm like, when it comes to women, especially women with body image and that get into, I know I actually struggled with that much more as a vegan, because I couldn't find like a happy medium with my body because of just the things I think nutritionally wise, I think mentally wise, I think hormonally wise, I just could never really find, like I couldn't find what works. I tried high carb vegan. I literally, and this all documented. I mean, within when I was vegan, I was trying it all. I was literally always like, I'm trying this. I'm gonna supplement with this. I'm gonna cut this out. And always trying to find balance. And now it's like the easiest thing that have made me so in tune with my body that now I actually understand what people say when they mean you've become in tune with your body, you're in tune with your hunger signals, in tune with your hormones. I like almost around my period, I feel like my body needs more. Maybe I'll have like a carb up a week before my period, and then during my period, I just don't want anything. My body's just like, you're good.
That's awesome. I don't want to interrupt you, but I need to ask you more about that, because that's actually what I was going to ask you. The concept of carving up is very interesting. And when you talk about your period, you know, as women, we notice a lot of carnivores that before we get our period, that's the time where we might be wanting a little more. And I'm very curious to know also, just since I interrupted, I also love that you talked about the cramps, because again, that was the bane of my existence growing up. Until I went carnivore, I never managed it. No medication, nothing that they gave me until I went carnivore. Like you said, little bit of cramps, little bit, but it's so manageable. Like it's nothing, like not 2 days in bed, right? But so yeah, I'd love to tell us a little more about how you use your carb ups, but also how you use them in relation to your menstrual cycle.
Yes. So it's so hard to explain, because I feel like people that are in this diet, they get it now. The women will get it, because I feel like you have to experience it to know. But it's I mean, I track my cycle, so that's another reason why I know exactly around the time I'm getting my period. And it's always within 5 to 7 days prior to my period, to actually getting my period. I just I can't explain. It's a sensation. I'm either craving like a sweet potato, I'm craving rice, I'm craving like popcorn, I'm craving like a heavier starchy food. So it's not sugar. I'm not craving, you know, a pizza, a burger. I'm not craving none of that crappy stuff. It's not an emotional craving. It's just, I feel that's actually kind of what got me into carving up. And that's when I started to research more about carb ups, because I'm like, am I supposed to crave carbs on keto? I thought you never crave any carbs on keto, you know? So that's kind of how I dove into it. And it works well with me because of me being an athlete. But yeah, this has happened for probably the last few months since I remember. It's just around that time, now I know that time is coming, and that there's a day or two, but usually just one day, literally just one day, where my body just needs the extra energy. Like it's like prepping itself to literally have the actual moment, the moment. And I'm hungrier. I listen to my body. I don't really count or anything that day. I just eat to satiety. Usually keep my fats a little bit lower on those days. I don't like to really do high fat and high carb on the same day. And literally I also want to say it's not a high carb day per se. I just have like, I will have a dinner where I will include sweet potatoes, or I will include, you know, rice or something, or I'll have like this wrap that I love from this healthy, it's called Carrot Express. I just love it. And it's a wrap with rice with some beans, and it just does it for me. I don't know. And then the next day I'm not as hungry. I pretty much get back to keto. And then during my menstrual cycle, I actually stay keto. I make sure that even if I was to have a carb up, because usually I do time my carb ups like every week, I stay keto. I just feel better mentally, physically. I have more energy. The bloat is, if I ever blow, it's tiny little bit. And it just gets me through. And And then again, you know, maybe my body also has become a little used to, you know, adjusted to carb ups. I have, like, it's, my body literally becomes like a cyclical little bubble where I eat the way I eat during the week, and then that Sunday comes and it's like, I know I'm gonna do my carb up. That's when you know, when I have my carbs, I experiment going higher and or doing more moderate, depending on like what I'm trying to do with where I am with my body. And but yeah, it's insane. It's the menstrual cycle thing. I when I realized that, it's like it wasn't even something I had to like research. It wasn't like, oh, like, you know, with the whole vegan thing and losing my cramps, like it made sense to me. I'm like, well, of course, like my body is literally going to be expending a lot of energy, and like just like an athlete preps for, you know, for a heavy duty workout, like our bodies are going to signal us when they need a little extra energy, or if they do need maybe a little bit, you know, of glucose in our body, like whatever it is, it works. And I don't get fats from the carbs, you know. It's not like it causes me to have a mental struggle the next day, and I'm like, my blood sugar, you know, is down and I need to have, you know, like pancakes for breakfast. It doesn't happen. I think people misunderstand going back to carbs when they do keto or carnivore. I always think that if you're going into it with that mindset already, I just don't think you're going into it with the right. You're going into it with just like a either weight loss mentality, or you see people's the way that they change, their bodies change, and the amazing results that they're having. And instead of seeing it as something that you could try as a lifestyle, they're already thinking of the moment when they're gonna come out of it, or they're not gonna do it anymore. And they're like, oh, I heard like when you about eating carbs, you're fat, and I'm just like, well, you know, it's like anything. It's if your body again is fat adapted, or even if you have at that time tried eating a little bit of carbs here and there, if you just stop like and your body takes time to adjust to anything. Just like to get into ketosis, you need your body needs time to adjust. If you're gonna start eating carbs, you have to do it right. You cannot just have pizza every night and start to have ice cream and then think that, oh, it's the carbs that are making you gain weight again. It's like, no, it's you're overeating, and you're sending your freaking body into this crazy like hormone frenzy, because now you're eating processed foods and you're eating sugar again. And so I get really passionate about that, because I'm like, I don't think people understand that it's not as extreme as that is. I feel like the standard American diet is the extreme diet. It's not healthy. It's not good for us. It literally messes with every part of our genetics, and then people look at someone who, you know, is like a keto carnivore, and now you're crazy because you're not eating, you know, you're not going to Whole Foods and picking up, you know, I don't know, like another box of cereal. Just I don't know. But again, I got lost. I'm sorry. I get very passionate.
Not at all. Your passion is so infectious. It's wonderful. You know, it sounds like you've really come a long way towards intuitive eating, like actually eating with what your body needs. So have you found, you know, any challenges with this way of eating? I'd love to hear more about your appetite. Do you do any fasting? Do you find you eat a normal amount of meals?
So yes, fasting, yes. I also think that like fasting has become something that I tell us it's always also how you come into fasting and why you fast. A lot of women come to me and ask me, if I fast, how fast will I lose weight? And I'm just like, wrong mentality. This is not what fasting is about. Fasting is basically a tool for intuitive eating. This is how I see it. So there's days I wake up and I'm just not hungry. Like I'm not hungry. I'm not starving myself. I'm not trying to push it till as long as I can. I'm just not. I always work out fasted. So again, I'm just adjusted. I wake up in the morning. I'm not hungry. I go hit my workout, and then as you know, after my workout, I start to feel hunger because my body needs nutrition. I need to eat. So I'll usually again, there's days where I'm hungrier, so I'll have more. and there's days that I'm not, and I'll have less. I know it sounds too simple and too good to be true, and I know that a lot of women struggle with this, but when you're eating the right foods, your body just tells you when you're full. You don't need to binge on a piece of steak. Like if when you're full, you're not going to be like, oh, I need more of that steak. You're done. You're going to put it away. So for me, fasting has become just something that I've implemented. Yes, I do like to do extended fasts. Maybe like once a month, I'll do 36 hours plus. I haven't done it 72 hours in a long time. I've always pushed it like probably around 40, and then I haven't even gotten to 48 in a long time. But I just like to do it like once a month. When I feel really good, and I always say, always it's documented as well, say I do it when I feel really good and I know that I can do it, and I know that I'm not going through a ton of stress in my life at that time. Like my body is in pure like feel good, and I think fasting has become something that people are using to make up for like a binge weekend or something like that, and that's where those like people are like, oh, I feel so awful when I fast, or I have a headache, or I have no energy, I feel like I'm gonna faint. And I'm like, well, what were you doing before you fast? The fast, like did you prep for the fast, or what is the reason that you're even doing the fast? Because it sounds to me like you maybe had a really bad weekend and you heard that fasting helps, or with weight loss, and you're using fasting in order to make up for all the calories they ate. And so there's just so much misinformation when it comes to any of this, whether it comes to eating, fasting, intuitive eating. To me, calorie cycling, even cyclical keto, I feel like that's how we probably have eaten most of our lives. I don't believe that we always had the same amount of food on hand. I feel like our metabolism were meant to eat when the food was in front of us. We ate the food in front of us, and then sometimes if there were carbs or available, our body were able to use the glucose for the energy. Some of it maybe got stored, which is where your actual ketosis comes in. Like if you don't have nutritional fat coming in, your body's gonna pull from its own stores. Like it's just the way we're supposed to be, and it's very. So when I finally tapped into this and I started to feel what it's supposed to feel like, it does. I understand like why people that could have been that person, that woman, when you don't feel it, or when you're not in that mode, you don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense until you actually start to experience it, and it's just so simple. It's like I can't explain it any more than it is. I eat when I'm hungry. I eat when I'm really hungry. I fast when I feel like my body has enough of energy in its reserves. I don't fast if I feel like like it's not needed or necessary. Do I dial things in sometimes if I'm looking to like lean out? Yes, like just like anything else, it's a diet. Is it much easier? Yes. And yeah, it's so funny, because if people were just to kind of like grasp the fact that it is not, it has everything to do with, I believe everything starts on your plate and what's in your pantry and what's in your fridge, and start there, and like, and without stop looking for the tools that are supposed to be something that comes after, and it's very intuitive, as the things that are going to fix the problems that are happening in your life because of the food choices or because of the things that you're doing. Like having a pizza the night before a fast is not the pizza. The fast is not the problem. It's the pizza. It's, yeah. So I don't know. Again.
You're so right. Actually, when I first came to fasting before carnivore, I used to do exactly that. I'd make it through at that time 16 hours, which was really hard for me at that point. And then I'd have my pizza. And I was like, why can't I get to 18 hours? Like, why? And now it's just intuitive, and it's very hard to explain. And it is true, like what you're saying, a lot of people have a different relationship with carbs. There is addiction involved in this. There's a lot of reasons why some people might not be able to do a carb up yet, or fasting might not be ideal for some people. But when you are in a place where you're doing it intuitively and you're not forcing yourself, and it just naturally feels good when you're healthy, it's very supportive.
Absolutely. And 100%, I have a client right now that, you know, she told me, she's like, I'm not ready for any carb ups. And I was like, hey, you don't need them. Like literally, that carbohydrates are non-essential. You do not need them. So you're good. And you're not an athlete either. So you're fine. You know, I think that's the one thing that I tell people. I'm like, if the carb ups, you know, cyclical keto is not for everyone either. You know, you do have to do something with those carbs if you're going to do it. And then maybe around your cycle, like if you want to have one sweet potato, like it's not going to kill you, you know, it's not, you can't even call it like a huge carb up. Like your body probably utilize it, you know, it doesn't mean you're going to have a cheat day or you just do whatever you want.
Although it is funny you say that, because I'm curious to know if you've ever noticed that when you have your carb up, if it's too close to getting your period, does that have an impact on your cramps? Because I feel like I've noticed for myself that it has had an impact depending on how recently I've had carbs.
Yes, it has actually. I believe it was last month where I did actually have a little bit of cramping, and I did realize I didn't time things. I just, you know, I'm also not like checking every day, like, oh, is my period coming? And I did have a carb up, a little too close, and I could tell it slowed me down. It was a little bit more intense, and yeah, and you know, even the funny thing is, even my boyfriend, who's not even for carnivore, he mentioned that he works with clients as well, and he says this, the best thing you can do around your period is go keto. You know, or like if you have cramps, the best thing you can do, cut your damn carbs, like especially around that time. It's going to save you so much trouble because, you know, I mean, I don't know.
But you've shared so many amazing changes that you've had. I mean, could you maybe summarize for us now, like what does your life look like now? What is your health like overall since you've taken this on? And
So completely shunned from the vegan community, just FYI. I mean, I still, till this day, I've gotten, in the beginning it was extremely hard. It was very difficult. I actually kind of went off like the grid for a bit because I couldn't handle. I think people would say, oh, you're a coward, you're this. No, when you have people that you trusted at some point or you thought were your friends continuously. I mean, I had people, my clients at that time, block me, just completely cut them out of their lives. People just telling me like, I'm a murderer, I'm vain, I'm doing this because I'm vain. All I care about is my body and the way it looks, so I'm jumping in the keto train. Oh my God. And I was just like, it completely messed with me. So at that time, and I had another interview prior to this, and I was like, actually, keto kind of helped me through this, because that if I was to dive back into like junk food or processed foods to help with all the crap that was happening, I would probably ended up depressed somewhere. You know, it was so it helped me kind of still get through it. And now I'm at this point where I finally found like my voice, and I no longer really care whether there is a vegan straggler that wants to call me names. At this point, I'm like, I've gotten to the point, I'm like, if you want to have a conversation with me, we can definitely have a conversation. If all you're going to do is attack my points or my story that I'm sharing, then you can go ahead and unfollow. I will block you. I will not have you. And it's like, some people are like, oh, you're getting so defensive. I'm like, no, you're literally, you're attacking me, you're being extremely rude, and you have no desire to listen to me. So at this point, I have become a cyclical or just keto coach. I've had a few vegan clients that used to be vegan, like that are my clients again, and they're not vegan either. I know, it's crazy, and they all experience similar things. And that's another thing I struggled with. You know, I was like, I was pushing this diet I truly deep down believed was right. So that was a huge mental struggle as well to become a coach again, because I wanted to be trusted. I wanted to make sure that, like, if I'm going to be speaking about something, it really is something that I believe truly is going to really, help. So that's why I'm speaking about this as well. I'm talking about my vegan story now because I want to stay quiet. I just did not want the backlash again. I don't want that that negativity again. But I'm like, no, if I'm going to speak my truth, I'm going to talk about my story. And if whoever wants to hear it, they can hear it. If they don't believe it, awesome. At this point, I don't care. I just feel great. And so I'm a coach. I'm coaching women eating. I call it keto carnivore with a little twist. Because things creep up. I mean, I'll have, a little keto snack here. I'll have some moon cheese. I try to keep it. I always say, listen, processed foods is processed foods, whether it's keto, whether it's whatever, it's still gonna taste freaking amazing. And if you have some kind of goal, like, keep the keto snacks, even if you're just keto, but just keep them out of the house. Or if you're gonna have it once in a while. It's still, it maybe, just like the vegan foods, it is still processed food. It's still going to get your taste buds freaking out. And actually, I started to test some of them, and there are a few of them that say keto on them, and I check my ketones like an hour after, and I'm out of ketosis, which is like, oh, whoa, look at that. And there was one that was like, oh, keto, 1 gram of net carbs. Looking it back, and it's like 3 forms of artificial sweeteners. So I feel like my body just was like, oh, and yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm speaking my story. I'm talking about it. I'm no longer nervous. I feel like I've done this long enough to know that it really is what works. Whether there's variations of it for other people, I absolutely believe there's variations of it, and not one way of eating is going to work for someone. But I do believe that we have always eaten animal products as humans. I do believe that was the bulk of our foods for a very long time, until agriculture hit. And I just I always say, hey, go follow me for a little while and you'll understand, because I used to be the most inconsistent, especially to be the most inconsistent person when it came to my weight, when it came to my coaching, when it came to my content. And now it's every day I wake up and it's just me. Like, I don't have these moments where I'm just like, I don't know, feeling any, like, I don't know what's going on. And it's like, I can't explain it. Whether it's the steak, it's the steak. If it's the eggs, it's the eggs. If it's not, I don't know, but I'm going to keep doing it. So
either way, it's wonderful. And I'm so glad that it's led you to helping other people find their way towards a human appropriate diet. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with so much in that community, from that community that you were a part of, but I commend you for speaking out, especially facing all of that. I have vegans in my family, and dealing with cancer as well. So I also commend you for helping your family in the first place. And I don't know if you have any guilt about giving that to them, veganism, but I would love to hear that they're doing well now.
And they never actually, it's funny because I tried. My dad never went vegan.
Oh, great. Perfect. That's great.
Because I'm never going to eat your rabbit food, so you can stop now. He never, yeah, he's fine.
I love that. That's great. Okay, good. So I'm glad to know he's doing better. And thank you. Thank you for speaking out and for helping the people you do. And thanks for meeting with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Go eat some meat.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you so much again, Daria. It was our pleasure and honor. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.